Okay, let's go.
Hi, everybody. My name is Pablo Trejo. I'm a graduate of the UTEP College of Engineering from the year 2000. I have a bachelor's degree of electrical engineering. I work for Lockheed Martin, and I am the chair of the Engineering Alumni Network. Jessica, over to you.
Hi, everyone. You might have seen my name in the emails. My name is Jessica Castro. I work for the Office of Institutional Advancement, which is within UTEP. I oversee all of our alumni networks, and the College of Engineering Alumni Network is one of them. That is everything from managing our networks, their activities, doing recruitment, such as these types of activities, these meetings. So yeah, you'll see me a lot. Welcome. Thank you, everyone.
And I think it'll be best if we just go down the list. Do you agree, Jessica?
Sure.
I've got Chen Yang Hu as the next individual.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chen Yang Hu, and I graduate as a PhD student in MASE, MASE, Material Science and Engineering, in last year, 2021. So, and now I'm working as associate professor in China.
Fantastic. Welcome.
Hi.
Daniel Carrera, will you give us a brief introduction?
We're not able to hear you, Daniel.
Are you referring to David?
Is that better?
Oh, there you go, Daniel. Yeah,
Daniel Carrera, thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's already kind of late in the day, sorry. So I work at Walter P. Moore & Associates here in El Paso as a senior associate. I graduated from UTEP in May of 2021 with my master's in civil engineering. And yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Okay, thank you. David Camarillo.
Yes, this is David Camarillo, and I graduated in 1997 with a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering, and then on 2006 with an MBA from UTEP with an emphasis in supply chain. Currently, I work for a consulting company. It's called Monterey Consultants, and I do government consulting predominantly in supply chain and as well as procurement end to end. So, thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Welcome. How about David Valencia?
Yes, hey, thank you for the introduction. My name is David Valencia, and I am a class of 1992 with bachelor's in metallurgical engineering. Currently, I work for a Chevron oil company based out of here in San Ramon, and I am a senior lubrication engineer.
Fantastic, thank you. Gabriel, if you'll introduce yourself, please.
Yeah.
Oh, we heard you just for a second, Gabriel.
Okay. Yes, I graduated from civil engineering in 1972. Practiced for 5 years, and then I went into a project applying the method of civil engineering to the mind and the spirit for 14 years. And I got the answers to everything, and managed to change the world 3 times so far. And I'm retired. I'm 72. I retired 6 years ago.
Okay, that's excellent. Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Gustavo Sosa.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Gustavo Sosa. I'm a civil engineer, graduated with my bachelor's in 2007. spring 2007, and my master's in civil engineering as well in the fall of 2010. I work at Park Hill, which is a multidisciplinary architectural engineering firm here locally, and I'm an associate there.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Paul Sanchez.
I also got my master's in civil engineering in 2019 from UTEP as well. I am currently living in Las Vegas, Nevada. I work for Western Professional Services on their transportation team, and I'm also a UTEP Alumni Association board member.
Excellent, thank you. And how about Roberto Francisco Carmona Samano? Samano.
Hey, thank you for the introduction. And not a whole lot of people pronounce the Samano correctly, so I appreciate that. But yeah, my name is Roberto Carmona. I'm a mechanical engineer, graduated from UTEP in 03 with a bachelor's in mechanical engineering, and then went back and did a master's on mechanical engineering as well, and finished in 06. I also got an MBA from the University of Alabama in 2011, and been working the majority of my career in the engineering field. I did do a little bit of a leadership role, but I'm back as a technical person. Right now, I'm working for a company called Ineos Olefins and Polymers. They have a plant south of Houston in Alvin, Texas, and I'm one of their. I'm a senior mechanical reliability engineer there in their complex. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's great, and congratulations. Congratulations to all of you on the careers that you've had and established, given the education you've received at UTEP. If you guys are like me, you're very thankful for the education that we received there at UTEP. It's really changed my life, and I suspect that it's done the same for you all. I've been involved with the College of Engineering Alumni organization since about 2008. And so we've gone through spurts of being really active and then being practically dormant. So you're getting engaged here in the latest effort to revive some activity. I've worked with Jessica on trying to really set the boundaries for what the alumni network can do, given the, I think, a decent level of participation that we can encourage from the membership and the alumni, and let's say the availability of our alumni. So one of the pillars and focus areas that we decided is a must for our with TCM. Now, the College of Engineering themselves are the ones that have taken charge in organizing all of the activity, doing the main execution of the TCM events. Where we come in is that we want to be able to act in an advisory form and really provide a historical connection to the individuals going through TCM now, to the history of what the event has been. In the involvement that I've had with the alumni network, I've heard a lot of stories of what TCM used to be in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. And it's changed and evolved a lot since then, a lot to the dismay of what it used to be 50 years ago, but it is more consistent with social norms of today. And so really what we're trying to do in our advisory role is put something together that we can honor what TCM started out as and how it evolved throughout the years. We don't want to lose any of that spirit along the way, but at the same time, we want to adapt it so that the school leadership and the students and the faculty can get behind it, promote it, and really have it be something that the current class of engineering students can go through and have a positive memory of it so they can come back and remain active. Again, all with the purpose of establishing a fondness for our school and to help elevate the alumni participation and the experience of being a UTEP alum. So if we look back at the agenda, that pretty much covers the charter of the TCM committee. Again, it's to act in an advisory form to honor the history of TCM celebrations and adapt it to modern times. Along with that,
Pablo, you cut out. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
I can hear you, Jessica. Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, sorry. So I was saying that in working under that charter and working with the Office of Institutional Advancement, there is an opportunity there to foster the culture of philanthropy in encouraging and fundraising to help out with the activity for TCM. Earlier this year, we met with Gabby Gandara, who is Associate Dean of the College of Engineering. And he mentioned that, that there are very specific things that they can use help with. One of the ideas that he brought forward was the purchase of the helmets that are provided to the participants of TCM. Although the college was able to fund the purchasing of those helmets, we thought that that provided us an opportunity to help engage the alumni. And so that's one of the initiatives that the TCM committee would be responsible for. They would take that on, develop the idea. The Office of Institutional Advancement would definitely be involved in helping utilize the university's resources to help collect the funds to be used. The advertising, announcing the program would also be something that they would be helping with. So from the alumni, mainly what we're asking for is active participation, bringing your ideas forward. Let's capture the diversity of ideas throughout the experience of the alumni, and let's see how much of that history we can inject back into TCM. Before we go further into the culture of philanthropy, I do want to say that I am the chair for the alumni network, and although I'm leading the meeting today, the idea is to have someone and recruit someone, either nominate themselves or nominate someone to lead this committee. That chair, that lead, would then be working with me to report progress on the different initiatives of the TCM committee and just status it. It's not something that I personally want to be leading because I don't have the time commitment for it, but this is the part where we divide and conquer. We look for someone who's willing to take on the role, and they'd be working directly with me and Jessica and Jonathan Tavares, who's the lead of the mentorship focus area for the alumni network. So that is one thing that is important for us to communicate to you all today, that we are looking to staff the committee with a leadership team, and really at this point, the only position that is defined is that of committee chair. After that, depending on how complex the business of the committee becomes, then there will be other committee positions, leadership positions made available, whether it be liaison to directly to the college, liaison to the student TCM planning committee. So I can see opportunity for multiple roles that can be occupied that can help really move this committee forward and really integrate it deep into the fiber of the college and the celebration of TCM. So if this is something that's of interest to you, you can go ahead and type in the chat, let Jessica know that you're interested in that type of participation in this committee. And we'll be happy to set up a personal meeting with you and kind of let you through, lead you through what we have in mind, at least what's in the guidelines for the alumni network, and we can get going. But again, at this point, the one item that we've identified that is something that we can definitely act on is the fundraiser to help with the purchasing of the helmets to be issued to the TCM participants. Jessica, at this point, would you speak more to the culture of philanthropy and how the Office of Institutional Advancement is progressing toward that, toward achieving that culture?
Yeah, so one of the things that has sort of shifted for our alumni focus is we are now housed under institutional advancement. So we are all one unit, and we're all working towards creating a culture of philanthropy. And what that means is just sort of putting the seed within our community, within our alumni, to give back to UTEP. This is something that wasn't very much pushed in the past. I think we were very focused on the research aspects and different initiatives that have got UTEP to where it is right now. But I think moving forward, creating a culture of philanthropy, and that doesn't necessarily mean money, that doesn't necessarily mean donations. It can be community service hours, it can be joining these alumni networks, volunteering your time, is something that we're focusing on. And so within that culture of philanthropy, as Pablo mentioned, the alumni network, the engineering alumni network, did create a focus for TCM and for raising funds for students for that activity, just to make it a little easier on the College of Engineering itself. So within this committee, we want to just be a support for the college itself. And one of those things, as Pablo mentioned, was Gabby Gandara mentioning the need for purchasing those helmets during the TCM activities. That's a big cost for the college, and that's a big job for Gabby himself, who is the person who finds the funds for those helmets. And so in conjunction with us trying to create a culture of philanthropy and working with our alumni and the networks, the idea came up to have a fund that will raise money for the helmets. And so that is something that we are hoping that we can launch. We've already got sort of ducks in a row to be able to launch in August. And have that all in time for the 2023 March celebrations. But yeah, that's basically it for our culture of philanthropy. We're just trying to give back to UTEP as much as UTEP has given to us. I think it's a new sort of generation that's coming up, and now that's the focus, at least for our office and for our alumni.
the idea for the helmets right now is just a very raw idea. So I want to make sure I communicate that to everybody, that part of the TCM committees, alumni committees, responsibilities would be to flush that idea out further. The day that we made that idea, the thing that came to my mind immediately is, well, we can have the alumni, we can present the opportunity to the alumni to make a donation toward the helmet, and we can put their name and the class that they graduated on the helmet, and that would establish that connection between the alumnus and the student receiving that helmet, right? You know, it could be name, the year that they graduated, and perhaps even a short personalized message, right? So it all depends on what we want to do. But again, it's our idea to flush out, and the TCM committee would be doing that. One of the, and you know, to go along with the establishment of this committee and the importance of this committee, Gabby Gandara mentioned that there was another problem that they wanted to bring to the alumni to help in that resolution that they needed help resolving. And that is with the definition of the TCM boundary. As far back as when I went to school, and I'm not sure when it stopped, maybe it was during the construction of Centennial Plaza, but it used to be that for TCM, they would paint a green line on Hawthorne Street to show the division of what used to be TCM, or what is TCM, the TCM side of the campus, and then the non-TCM side of the campus. I don't know that Gabby mentioned it explicitly, but I don't think they do that anymore, and I don't think they're allowed to paint on the street anymore. The paint on the street is a problem from what I understood from Gabby. And so he was asking us for ideas, you know, what else can we do? How can we honor the history of that division in the university's focus? And so again, that would be something else that would come to the TCM committee with an expectation. Let's have some proposals and let's try and flush them out, and let's see what will work, right? On the bare minimum end, I would say, is the idea of a banner. Let's get a banner that for TCM we can put across Hawthorne Street there on two scissor lifts or whatnot, right? But just some way to make that demarcation of that boundary. So again, these are the types of ideas that are expected would come out of this committee. The problems or the challenges would come to the committee, and then the committee would meet and provide a recommendation. So as Jessica was mentioning, it's not all about donations, monetary donations. It's also time donations. You know, having a committee to work through these problems and put forth the recommendation. I'm sure that Gabby would be open to having an alumni contingent at the TCM Days activity as well. So it's a matter of let's increase that engagement between the alumni and the TCM planning committee and the students going through TCM. Jessica, where are we on the agenda? Does that pretty much get us through?
Yeah, so that got us through the TCM celebration ideas. I don't know if anyone has anything that they are thinking of right now that they might want to put in the chat or they might want to discuss in regard to TCM celebration. But yeah, that banner was one. The helmets is another. We're just looking for, you know, some creativity from our alumni to be able to, again, assist the College of Engineering with what they do during TCM, and also homecoming. Homecoming is a big focus for College of Engineering.
So I have a question. Would the Alumni Association entertain the option of getting the helmets donated in lieu of just getting the money?
Yes, I think so. Right, Jessica. I mean, if there's a connection with a helmet manufacturer or someone who can work that donation, right? Yeah, I mean, it's not about getting the money to purchase the helmets. I think the focus is on the helmets.
The other option, I mean, this is David call. You know, I work in procurement and supply chain, and the other option would be to particularly write a grant or some kind of bid to go out and get the helmets. I don't know what the specifications of the helmet on or the actual quantity that you would need, but obviously depending on the quantity, you get price breaks on it, and therefore buy them at a cheaper rate. I mean, I guess TCM has changed since I've gone through it, and you know, we never had helmets. I mean, to go along the line of demarcation, I remember we used to paint the shamrock in the middle of, you know, between the entrance there in Hawthorne. You know, it was Hawthorne and the main where the president's office is. I can't remember.
And University.
Yeah, University. So we used to paint a shamrock there, and that was basically, you know, TCM. I remember people getting wild and throwing themselves down in the paint and everything, and you know, getting road rash. You know, but you know, it seems like it's changed since then. You know, obviously a little bit more tamer. But let's wheel it back in on the procurement of these helmets. I mean, what are these helmets? Or what are they? I mean, what do they look like? Are they hard hats or are they actually helmets? You know, what is the design of it, if you will?
Yeah, I think at that point is where we would have to get input from Gabby Gandara to see if the requirement is for them to be, no kidding, OSHA standard hard hats, right? Or whether we're just going for a hard hat type look.
Right.
I'm not sure what he's been procuring, but these are the types of questions that we would entertain and need to flush out in a specific meeting through this committee.
I guess what the main thing in any time to procure, I mean, I do this for a living, I've done it for the past 16 years, procurement, and it's basically, you got to know the specifications of what you're buying, and then also, you know, what's the quantity, you know. And to Gustavo's point in the sense of donations, I mean, I think some of us work for, I heard like some people work in the oil fields and stuff, predominantly, you know, those guys procure hard hats and can get them at a volume discount, possibly donate and stuff. So that would be another thing to do as well. So I didn't want to take away. Go ahead.
No, those are really excellent points, David. From my understanding with speaking with Gabby, is that the hard hats are $15 each. Paul, I don't know if you can speak to this, if you dealt with this during your time within the college, but they're $15 each, and we wanted to be able to supply 200 students. And so that's $3,000. What we didn't consider is, yeah, what if y'all can donate helmets themselves? So that's something that we need to speak with the college about. Paul, did you have any experience that you could speak to about the types of helmets?
Yeah, so I don't think they're just a regular hard hat. They're orange. I'm not sure if they're certified or anything. I don't remember. But they do give them out to everybody that participates. So I participated back in 2014 and we all got a helmet. So that was nice. But I'm trying to remember how many people were there. But that was kind of different because it was a centennial year. So there was probably like 70 to 100 people that participated in TCM. And I think it was the first year that they opened it up to all students instead of just engineering, if you guys didn't know that now. but now that's an option. I think it's still an option now, that it's not just for engineering majors. But I haven't worked with Gabby. I've only talked to him a couple times, but I'm not too sure on like the type of helmet. I have it. I don't have it with me. I think I have it at home.
Yeah, I think that's where we need to talk to Gabby and find out whether the requirement for the helmet is to be functional, meaning to be used for protection, or whether it's really more cosmetic and for use kind of as a uniform for the day, let's say, and a keepsake going for them to keep in memory of having participated.
I mean, from what I know is, I mean, it's just symbolic, right? I mean, it's celebration of Texas as a college of mine, so you do want a hard hat. And the reason I brought it up is because when I graduated from my bachelor's, I got it donated for our class. So, I mean, I work with a lot of suppliers as well. And, you know, as was mentioned right now with the procurement, I mean, yeah, the larger the volume, we can get a better pricing. And we may get, because I got them donated from one of the local suppliers here. So that's another option that we have, is that we can get them donated by a supplier, or like you said, a manufacturer, or even by a company.
Yes, agreed. That's exactly the type of recommendation that we need to flush out to have the committee flush out and have it people just work it from cradle to grave, right? And have it delivered. And if we can set it up such that it's a recurring activity, right? It becomes easier year after year. And in the end, the school and the students get that benefit. So this is the type of activity really that we need alumni engagement.
Yeah, and those are great ideas that like hadn't really come up, that like helmets themselves could be donated. So I need to also check on my end of things that would be something that would be allowable by the university. There's a lot of frameworks in place that like don't allow a lot of things, but I will check on that. But yeah, like Pablo said, this is exactly the type of feedback that we need for a committee such as TCM. So there's a video that was posted, and they're asking if this is the type of helmet. And I believe so, right? It's just an orange helmet. It doesn't look like it's the one word I would use to super fitted. It's just kind of symbolic, as I believe Gustavo mentioned. But Pablo, do you want to maybe speak to, we have action item review, what might be next steps, or what we can expect to hear from the network? Or
well, I think the number one action is nominations for a lead, right? For a TCM committee lead. So if anyone is willing to self-nominate or wants to self-nominate, by all means, you can put it in the chat, or even if you're interested and want to learn more or want to step into the role, just put it in the chat and let us know, and we can contact you and have a meeting with you separately. If you want to be involved in the committee but don't want to be the lead, don't want to step into that role, you know, let us know also. We understand that today's meeting is really just informational, and we're not signing anybody up for anything, but you know, we are encouraging you. If this is of interest to you, this committee is of interest to you, then let us know, and we can find a place for you. Again, it's not all about the helmets. It's not all about the seeking donations or finding programs to get the donations. It's also influencing the TCM activities, working with the college, working with the students, being present at the day, at the TCM day, finding activity for the alumni to get involved in TCM. So maybe it's not necessarily that they're there during the day as the activities for the students are enrolling, but maybe it's something that we put together for the evening for the alumni to come out and do something ceremonial then. So there's just a full spectrum of opportunity for us to get alumni involvement in TCM, and that's what we want from this committee.
Pablo, do you mind just quickly mentioning like the overall focus of the network itself in case somebody might find themselves more leaning towards a different focus on TCM?
Sure, Jessica. So at the network level, I mentioned earlier that we had identified 4 focus areas that we are dividing into committees that will govern each of those focus areas and work toward activity in those focus areas. Today, we've spoken about TCM. One of the other activities and focus areas is homecoming, and specifically the alumni breakfast. I'm sure that you all get on an annual basis an invitation to the homecoming breakfast, and that's been an annual event. As long as I've been out of UTEP, I know I've received that invitation, and I've been to several of them. So it's a fantastic opportunity to connect with other alumni from all graduating classes, but also connect back to the university. The committee for the alumni breakfast that also comes from the College of Engineering, they typically get someone from the university leadership to come out and give an update, kind of a state of the university. I was fortunate to have seen Dr. Natalicio do that several times. Again, every time that I went to the alumni breakfast, she was there to talk about the university. I would expect that Dr. Wilson is doing the same thing. I think they recognize that the foundation of the university is its engineering school and the graduates. So they make it a point to come out to the engineering breakfast and let all of the participants, all of the attendees know all of the great things happening at the alumni breakfast. It was there that I heard Dr. Natalicio talk about the infrastructure challenges that came with the design and implementation of Centennial Plaza. And that was a thing that they had wanted and intended to complete by the 100th anniversary of UTEP's founding. And they didn't make it, and mainly because they found a lot of infrastructure that needed updating there underneath the streets where the plaza now sits. And so they made the smart decision of fixing that infrastructure rather than meeting a schedule that was going to be a cosmetic enhancement to the university, but could result in issues with the infrastructure later on. So they were very smart about focusing in on the infrastructure. And as engineers, that discussion was extremely interesting, right? To hear about the issues that they had found. And it was infrastructure that had been designed early in the initial development of the university. So those are the types of experiences you can expect to get at the engineering breakfast. Aside from that committee, there's also a focus on mentorship, and that is providing a academic connection between the alumni and the students. We are working to establish an engineering alumni mentorship program, the AMP program. Jonathan Tavares right now is leading that committee. The vision right now for that committee is to have several activities where alumni can come in, provide presentations to the students, give them talk about their experience both at UTEP and out in industry. It's a matter of bringing the alumni's experiences back to the students so that the students can see themselves in us because as we all know, as we're going through school, you're laser focused on just every class and trying to make it through that semester and on to the next semester with graduation in sight. Giving them the opportunity to talk and engage with people that have been through that, we think is a valuable mentoring opportunity with mutual benefit to both the alumni and the students. So we've got that focus area. And the fourth focus area is what we call the Top Engineering Seniors Program. This was a program that I led in 2012, 2014 timeframe. That program, what it does is that it identifies the cream of the crop, if you will, and there is no number associated with, so it's not the top 10 engineering seniors, it's not the top 20 engineering seniors. What we do is we look at the entire person. We look at the nominees' GPA, their work experience, their volunteering experience, just everything that comprises the values that UTEP wants in their graduates. And the candidates get scored. And based on how those individuals are graded by a committee of alumni, you know, the grading results in I don't want to say a ranking, but it's a line of demarcation where you can see the people that scored high have separated themselves from everybody else. And so the idea is that we recognize those individuals as being top engineering seniors. The idea is to do it every semester. Back when the program was at its height, I think we did it 2 or 3 semesters in a row. The program needed some adjustment because it turned out to be a lot of work for the small committee that was operating it. But again, if we can focus and make it past the tipping point of making it a perpetual activity, it's something that will bring a lot of connection between the students and the alumni, and also brings recognition to those students who maybe aren't the 4.0s, and the 4.0s tend to be the ones that are celebrated the most, but we recognize that there's a lot of value in the students that had to work as they were going through their schooling. There's the students that were involved in other areas in the university, right? We know that there's been engineering students that have also been athletes, that have been cheerleaders, that have been in the band. You know, there's other activities besides just the engineering experience. So again, we're looking at the entire student and looking to recognize those that are a full spectrum graduate of UTEP. So those are the 4 focus areas for alumni network. They all need staffing. You know, right now, as I mentioned, only the mentorship focus area has a leader who's working to actively implement that vision. We need leaders for the other focus areas as well. So again, if one of these other areas is of interest to you, sounds kind of cool, let us know. We'll be happy to set up a meeting like this one for those committees, and you know, we can get it going. All of these things, for the most part, are starting from starting from scratch, using what's been implemented already, but has really been lacking a lot of alumni involvement, and that's what we're looking to ignite here, is alumni involvement, to bring in the ideas that can take a little bit of work off of the College of Engineering staff, and let's bloom it into something greater than what it is. I think we all suffer from the lack of staffing, we've seen it in all of our workplaces. The university is no different. And so that's where, as alumni, we can give of our time to the university to help them establish these activities, these programs that will reignite that connection of the alumni to the university, engage the students to the alumni, and really together bolster the value of what it means to be a graduate from UTEP.
Does anyone have any questions? I got some chats that we are some folks are willing to help. So I'll reach out to everyone, and then specifically to the folks who have mentioned that they're interested. So thank you all for volunteering for that. But does anyone have any questions? We're almost nearing our time. Pablo, I don't know if you have any final comments.
No, I think at this point, I'm really open to hearing from people on the call. Feel free to unmute and let's have a discussion on what you've heard, or if you have a question, let's get to those now. It'll be of benefit to everyone. Any questions on any of the other focus areas are also welcome, and I think at this point we're kind of at an open discussion, so anything's game. If you want to hear about what TCM is like now versus what it was when you went through it, we can talk about that too. But I haven't been to TCM since maybe 2012 was the last time I went. TCM is still held the Saturday before St. Patrick's Day in March. So that is a tradition that has withstood as far as I can remember. So all of the activity that the committee would go through would have about that time frame, right? Look to kick up the committee either in April, right after TCM is over, or perhaps after graduation in mid to late May. But that's about the time frame to explore and implement any ideas. April to culminating in March of the following year.
Pablo, is Roberto. When a student or a candidate, I guess, goes through TCM, and are they still having to kiss the Blarney Stone to become guards of St. Pat, or has that tradition also been taken away?
No, as far as I know, they are still kissing the Blarney Stone. I think during the COVID era, they may have skipped that, but as far as I know, no one has objected to kissing the Blarney Stone or been offended by kissing the Blarney Stone. So I think that's still a tradition that persists.
So one thing I just had a question. This is David. Is there still the mini Baja that's held there at UTEP?
I believe so. Yeah, I think that's one of the enduring competitions that it became kind of entrenched in the activity that the college was involved in. So right. Perhaps one of the graduates from 2021 can speak more to it. I know there was a couple that have been there more recently than I have.
Thanks. When did you graduate, Pablo? What year?
I graduated in 2000. So I got a bachelor's in electrical engineering in 2000, and I have a master's from Texas Arlington from 2008.
Oh, okay. So you're here in Dallas, Fort Worth area.
Yes, I am in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
So am I. I'm here as well. So.
Okay. Well, awesome.
Yeah. So No, I just thought I'd ask regarding the mini Baja, because I remember after I graduated, I went back in, what was it, 2018? No, 2000, well, no, not 2000. It was 1998, 99. I went down there to judge it. So that's why I was asking.
Okay.
So that's, yeah, that was a big effort. I mean, when I was there at UTEP, I actually ran the whole show and wound up doing all the spreadsheets and scoring. And I actually, my dad was a policeman at that time, and we did the speed thing, and so I borrowed some radar guns and stuff. We did that whole thing for mini Baja. So that's why I was asking. I mean, there all these little events that happened back when. I don't know. I haven't been up with to date with the 2000s of what happened after '99. I kind of dropped off the radar, I guess you could say.
Right.
But
well,
I mean,
that's also part of. I'm not sure if that would be part of the mentorship committee, but it's definitely something that as alumni we're interested in, is making sure that there's alumni support for all of those different events. You mentioned the mini Baja. I think that was mainly mechanical engineering activity. I know the civil engineers had the concrete canoe race. So
correct.
These are all things that are really starved for alumni engagement, and so the more alumni can get involved to leverage their experiences of when they participated or when they ran it, in your case, it helps elevate the quality of that event, because the students there are no longer having to recreate from scratch. Right? Now they can take an existing template and build upon it.
Right.
That might be another opportunity, David, Pablo, for, I would think, the engineering alumni network too on the philanthropy side. I remember because I was in the mini Baja team in I guess 2000 through 2002, and the one thing I do remember is that I guess the university or the college, allowed us to exist. They were like, well, just don't kill yourselves in the machine shop, in the weld shop. But there was zero monetary support, and quite frankly, because probably the college couldn't afford it. So we went out, looked for sponsorship. Flash forward, sponsorship support, whatever. Flash forward 2010 or so, I came across some collection of old photographs and things that I had, and I said, well, I'm gonna try to be nice, and I just make a little report based on memory and the pictures that I had, and typed it up. I didn't have any binding capabilities, so I just put it in a 3-ring binder, mailed it to UTEP. I had a couple of contacts, friends of my sister that were in mini Baja. They were very grateful. They invited me over whenever. I was living in Alabama back then, and they said, whenever you're in El Paso, come by. So I did, visiting family. Well, in 2014 or so was when they held mini Baja at UTEP because of the centennial. I got invited to be a judge, which unfortunately at the last moment I couldn't attend, but I did get to see some of the festivities. And no, they have their own lab now. They have a little bit of funding from the university. They have a lot of things that would have been great for us to have, but I don't know if they have that for all the other programs or activities, like you mentioned, Concrete Canoe. So it's good to see that they're getting a little bit more support from the college. Maybe as the college has grown, they have some extra funds, but still a lot of these competitions are held in different universities. I think the circuit rotates, and not everybody can make those trips. So that might be another opportunity. Maybe not as a TCM committee, but as another committee to see if there's any sponsorship or any support that can be given to the guys and gals.
Right. So the College of Engineering alumni chapter, the predecessor to the network, did have a accounting fund to where donations made to the university could go directly to that fund and earmarked specifically for certain activities. So as the alumni network, right? And going back to the culture of philanthropy, if we wanted to have a fundraiser specific to raise funds for the benefit of the Mini Baja team, or the Concrete Canoe team, or the Code Quest team in computer science, the whatever metallurgical competition or activity is available for that department, you know, these are all possibilities. The only thing lacking is engagement from alumni to help lead and come up with the with a fundraising ideas. So, you know, I'm excited to hear the excitement from you all in wanting to participate and be involved. You know, all these ideas are great. Let's get them together and let's see how we can work them into what it is that we're doing. Like I said, right now the mentorship committee is the one that is focused in on connection between the alumni, at least an academic type connection between the alumni and the students. And so I think that would be where we could develop a segment of that committee focused in on Mini Baja and the competition, having a mentoring specifically from people that participated or led those activities as students, and can provide insight to the existing planning committees, can mentor them on how to go about not only planning the activity, but executing the activity and leading a fundraiser, writing a grant to help fund some of that activity. That's one thing that I didn't mention, that the Alumni Association at the UTEP level, they have a grant program, and it just takes the alumni networks submitting a grant, letting them know how we plan to use the funding for them to issue the funding, and then the alumni networks are responsible for using that funding as it was for the purposes for which it was requested. So there's a lot of opportunity out there. I'm sure there's companies that have philanthropic and grant programs too. I know the company I work for certainly does do that. So, you know, again, it's just manpower that we're looking forward to move forward that engagement between alumni, the university, and its students.
Yep.
Pablo, we're at time. So I don't know if anybody has any other questions or comments. We will follow up with an email. We will also post the recording of the video in case anyone wants to go back and review any information. But if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. You know, Pablo and I work closely together, so whatever question you have for me, I'll obviously let Pablo know. But I don't know if anybody has anything else. I just don't want to.
The only thing I wanted to add was on the Mini Baja. This was 1993. I had built that model. It was a three-dimensional model of the actual course, which now it's got buildings on stuff now. But it's basically, that's ancient history, basically. 1993. Almost, what, 30 years ago? I just wanted to share that with everybody because I was like, yeah, that was the year that I ran it. So, but anyway.
It would be cool to have like a engineering scrapbook or something. Y'all have like the best photos. I'm a liberal arts person, and like, yeah, you guys have like the best photos of designs and things that you've done. So that would be really cool.
That's where we actually had film, right? Everything's digital.
We're in 3D printers.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I only had one comment. If you would select and copy the chat, I did that. I think at the last meeting, just select, copy, and put it in Microsoft Word, and that's the way that we can collect all of the contributions made through the chat.
Okay.
You're telling me to do that, or everybody else?
Well, you to do it formally.
Okay.
As the formal record keeper of the meeting. And then that way if you find use in the minutes that you're going to deliver or to distribute, you can add it in there, and that way everybody has a copy of the text.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay, thank you everybody for joining us. I appreciate your time. I know it's easy to start thinking back of the time we spent at UTEP. So thank you for joining us today, and I hope to see you more as we flush out and really develop the committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.